On June the 11th, he weighed anchor. Those in the frigate saw a canoe anchored at the point, and immediately 2 Indians came out of the forest and got into the canoe to go away. The captain ordered Mateo Diaz, master of the frigate, to go to speak with them and to bring them to the frigate if they would come without being made captives or harmed. They came aboard willingly with Mateo Diaz and showed by signs where their village was on the northwest side of the harbor. The captain landed and went to the Indian village. There, he found in the possession of the Indians 2 iron axes, a mirror, some pieces of cloth, small bells, knives, and many other things made by the hands of Christians. The Indians explained by signs and some intelligible words that there had been at their village 34 men with a ship, that 33 of them had gone away, and 1 had remained with them in that land, and was now in a village which they said was called Usta. They said that they would send for him and he would come the next day when the sun should be high. The captain, having understood, sent 2 of the Indians to the other village to summon this Christian, and gave them a piece of wood with a cross made upon it, which they were to give the Christian as proof that there were Christians in the land. And at noon on the 12th of June there appeared before the captain the said Christian, clothed like the Indians of that country, who declared himself to be a Frenchman. The captain called Martin Perez, one of the frigate's sailors, who said he was French, to translate into Castilian the things the Frenchman might say in his deposition which might not be understood. The 2 were put under oath. The Frenchman swore to speak the truth in whatever he knew, and Martin Perez swore to translate into Castilian whatever the Frenchman might say what was not understood, without accepting or reserving anything. In acquittal of the oath, they said, "Thus I swear," and "Amen." The Frenchman was asked whether he is a Christian, what is his name, and of what country he is a native. He replied that he is a Christian, that his name is Guillaume Rouffi, and that he is a native of the Kingdom of France. Asked who brought him to these parts, he replied that Captain Ribaud did. Asked by the captain from where was this Captain Ribaud, with what ships he came to these parts, what force of men and what artillery he brought, he replied that Captain Jean Ribaud was a native of Dieppe, France, that he came to these parts with 2 armed galleasses, one of about 160 tons and the other of 60, a shallop with 3 lateen sails, and 2 other smaller shallops, which, at sea, were carried on board the galleasses. Asked by whose command and at whose cost the expedition had been arranged and what had been its destination, he replied that he understood the expedition to have been made up and sent out at the command and cost of the Queen Mother, Catherine de Médicis of France, the Amiral Gaspard de Coligny, and Monsieur de Vendôme, and that each of these gave 1,000 ducats to equip the expedition, that it came directly to this coast of Florida to settle, and to discover whether it was a good location for going out into the Bahama Channel to capture the fleets from the Indies. This he knows because he heard it said by everyone, and it was common knowledge. He was questioned as to whether the Frenchmen had made a settlement or built a fort or set up anywhere any markers bearing the arms of France. He answered that they set up a stone marker bearing the arms of France in the place on the coast where they first explored, 3 or 4 leagues south of this one, and there set up another marker like the first one, that on a river little nearer this way on the same bay they built an enclosed house of wood and earth covered with straw with a moat around it. That 26 men remained in this house and fort, and the others returned to France, that Captain Ribault commanded them to remain there and promised that within 6 months he would return from France with more ships and many people, with cattle and other things to settle that land. They did not set up any more markers, and of the 5 they brought from France, 3 were taken back in the galleasses. Asked whether he would know how to go where the fort and the markers are, he replied that he would know quite well how to go to the fort and to one of the markers. Questioned as to whether the 26 Frenchmen whom the captain left there are still in the fort, he said that 2 of them were drowned in crossing a river in a canoe, that the one who had been left as captain over the others one day struck a soldier with a club, that the soldier drew his sword and in struggling with him killed him, that he and the 22 others who remained, seeing that Captain Jean Ribault did not come nor did any other Frenchman, decided to go away to France and for that purpose built a 20-ton boat near the fort, that when it was finished the Indians of the country gave them a number of ropes made of the strong bark of trees, and they rigged the boats with these. The Indians also supplied them with native produce and fed them until they went away in the boat to the province of Guale, which is just south of this place. There, they were given some native blankets, which they made into sails for the boat. Those Indians also gave them supplies. They then returned to this harbor, and the declarant was not willing to go with them and remained among the Indians of this section, where he has been until now. It is about 14 months since they went away, and no news of them has ever been received.